Hi, I'm Robert, and today I was thinking we could make a very cool cheesecake. It's a no bake cheesecake that I'm gonna make with a raspberry jelly because, you know, raspberry. But you can make it with, for example, with a coffee jelly or any other fruit, basically any other jelly. Let's get started since it's no big deal making a cheesecake. Okay, the crust is a simple cracker crust. We'll use 240 grams of vanilla crackers. I use petit beurre and we'll add them to a food processor and mix them. We'll put them back in the bowl and add 120 grams of melted butter. Mix them well, and then we put the mixture in a 24 centimeter diameter spring pan, which I have lined with baking paper so it's easier to remove the cheesecake. I spread them on the bottom, and to press I like to use the same kettle that I used to melt the butter. And I just press. At the end, I like to press the sides with a spatula so the crust is really straight. And the crust is done. We'll put it in the fridge, but before, because it's a no-bake cheesecake, to make it easier to remove when it's done, I like to put some acetate on the side of the tray. If you don't have acetate, it's not a problem, but you will have to heat the side of the tray before you remove the cheesecake. Okay, so we'll put it in the fridge until we make the cheese composition. For the cheesecake, we'll start with 15 grams of gelatin. I put them in a kettle and I'll add about 90 grams of cold water. Mix well and I'll put it in the fridge until the gelatin is well hydrated. Until the gelatin is hydrating, let's make the cheesecake, the cheese part, and we'll need 250 grams of quark cheese, can be replaced with yogurt. Oops, you don't need to spill on the table. Okay, 250 grams of mascarpone cheese. I removed the ingredients from the fridge, maybe half an hour before starting, so they are not too cold. This way, when I add the melted gelatin, I have some time to work to integrate it. Otherwise, if the ingredients are too cold, the gelatin tends to set too fast. A 150 grams of cheese. You can use cream cheese. I use homogenized sweet cheese since it's softer and creamier. 150 grams of sugar and 2 vanilla extracts. I use Dr. Oetker butter vanilla. If you use some other kind of vanilla, I don't know, like a teaspoon of vanilla or some vanilla, mix together using a whisk. Because we used granulated sugar, you'll see that it doesn't melt instantly. It takes a while for it to melt. And so I like to mix until it's combined, until all the cheeses are combined. Let it stay for 3-4 minutes and then mix again, because the cheese melts the sugar, but it takes some time, and so I'll give it a second mix after a few minutes. Anyway, it takes maybe 4 minutes for the gelatin to hydrate, maybe 10 minutes for it to hydrate properly, so we are in no hurry. Okay, all the sugar is melted. When I mix, I see no sugar granules and I see it's super creamy. Meanwhile, I also melted the gelatin on a double boiler. Now I will add the gelatin to the cheese and I'll mix vigorously so I don't get any lumps. But sometimes it happens, the gelatin hardens too quickly and it forms lumps in the cheese. If this happens to you, don't despair. Just put the bowl on top of a double boiler and heat it until the gelatin is melted. And then you put it in the fridge a bit because it will get pretty hot for the gelatin to melt. And then you continue. It's no biggie. Okay, I'll try to move fast now. I integrated the gelatin and now I will add 200 grams of cream, whipped cream, so the cheesecake will be fluffier. And I'll mix, trying to keep it as fluffy as possible. We add the cheese on top of the crust. I try to get it as level as possible, so when I remove the cheesecake it will look very good. We'll put the cheesecake in the fridge at least 1 hour, so the cheese sets and we can then pour the jelly. Otherwise, if we pour the jelly now, it will mix with the cheese. And then we'll return. Okay, I kept the cheesecake in the fridge until it hardened quite a bit, and now we'll prepare the jelly. In a bowl I put 350 grams of raspberry puree and 33 grams of sugar, and I heated them. If you don't have raspberry puree, you can just put about, I don't know, 450 grams of raspberry with the sugar in a pot, and then heat until the sugar is melted, and it's like the beginning of a jam, until the first boil. And after that you blend them and you sift them so you get rid of the seeds, and you'll end up with about 350 grams of puree. And that's it. And in the puree I'll add 2 large gelatin leaves that I hydrated in cold water. I use from Dr. Oetker gelatin, blood gelatine, these big ones. If you have the smaller ones, you need to add 4. and I mix well until all the gelatin is integrated, after which I'll pour the jelly on top of the cheesecake. But I won't pour it directly. I'm gonna hold the spatula and pour the jelly over the spatula, so that way I don't damage the cheesecake. If you have some air bubbles, like I do, try to pop them so the cheesecake looks nice. Level the jelly a bit. Let's see, with a knife maybe if I pop the bubbles. And I'll let it in the fridge for like, I don't know, at least 6 hours, so it sets very good, and only then I'll remove it from the pan. How long did you keep it in the fridge? Be honest. For 6 hours? Because I only let it for like 2.5 hours. But don't do it like I did. Let it sit for 6 hours. Okay, let's see. I'll put it on a white disc, and as usual for no bake cheesecakes, I'll put a bit of white chocolate so the cheesecake doesn't move around. First remove the tray bottom, then slide the disc under the baking paper, and then lift with the spatula so you don't scrape the chocolate, and using your hip this is a secret technique. Notice that I didn't remove the acetate yet, because I want to show you a trick. With a hair dryer, simple one, I'll hit the side of the cheesecake, and only then I'll remove the acetate. And this will give me a very nice shiny side to the cheesecake, and that will look really good. If you're not as picky as I am, you can skip this step. And now I remove the acetate. And I have a really nice shiny side to the cheesecake. A few raspberries on top for decoration. It's done. Thanks for watching. Bye.